Hi everyone, I hope you're well. This is CoinsKid. Just going to note XRP once again. Thank you for support. Okay, we got a CoinsKid crew. So way back when, January the 13th, 2023, a few years ago right now, I did tweet out to the CoinsKid crew. Just looking at the Bitcoin returns here, we do see some kind of data point and cycle staring us in the face, where basically, you come up for 3, you go down for 1. So a 4-year cycle basically. And I still think, and there's no bias here, I still think that we are within the realms of this possibility that we are still in this cycle theory for Bitcoin. Obviously, I'm looking for the invalidation of that. So at the moment, I'm just respecting the data, and this is what I do on the channel. This is why I was so bullish way back when in early January of 2023. We've got the S&P 500 breaking out to back up this theory. We've got Bitcoin breaking down in 5 waves as well, late 2022. Lovely 5-wave counter for anyone paid attention. And equally XRP, it came down in 5 waves in, I think, early January, bottom right there. 5 waves, beautiful counter trend, right on the money, beautiful target that was met for anyone paying attention. And then boom, we came up. So in early January, my projection was a minimal run in the first wave to the 1.618 at 82 cents for XRP, where I did expect some kind of correction. That correction came. It lasted for a year, a lot longer than I expected, to be honest with you. And this correction may even last as long. So I've not got a crystal ball, I can't see into the future, but I'm always trying to develop data points and things that helps us, in this market. And so far, XRP and Bitcoin is respecting this crystal ball indicator, which is based on M2 global money supply. So until it starts to deviate, then, like I said to you, this is why I called it the crystal ball, because it's a clue to the future price action on XRP and Bitcoin. So far so good. If the theory is still ringing true, which potentially it is, and we've not seen the cycle top, it should actually be this year, because way back when we started a new bull market in 2023, you've had 2023 upside, 2024 upside, and 2025 currently is upside for Bitcoin. It's printing positively. So at some point this year we enter a macro correction. So with that data point, if we enter a macro correction this year and next year's red for Bitcoin, then obviously XRP will not be exempt from that. That's why I do think we are on the last realms here. We're in the last wave territory for the crypto markets. If we do see another major breakout for XRP, for me, I think you're pushing your luck basically if you're expecting it to go any higher. So we'll dive into charts in a moment, but I'll just show you the insights quickly, because way back when on January the 13th 2023, I was extremely bullish. There was lots of data at that point. There was the data cycles, there was the S&P 500 breaking out, there was the 5 waves of death for Bitcoin, there was 5 waves of death for XRP, and this is why I was extremely bullish on both of them. And so far so good. We've been riding these waves like an absolute beast on XRP and Bitcoin, okay, and hopefully we do exactly the same in the next big correction and the next big upside there. So let's dive into the insights of Bitcoin to see what we can see, okay. So looking at the monthly returns for Bitcoin on CoinsKid.com in the insights section, you can clearly see at the moment, as expected, a tweet that I did make out way back in early 2023, right there in January, was looking at data points and many other things for yourselves that, we're looking at a beautiful time for Bitcoin and with that XRP as well. So, so far so good. We've not deviated from that. And obviously the minute we see deviation, I will alert you, because at the moment this may be confluence the fact that sometime this year we enter a macro correction for Bitcoin. So in theory, late 2026, we should be looking at a red year where hopefully we find the bottom again and then we jump back in and we ride that next bull market to the upside. So obviously every single cycle, people think the cycle's deviated, it's over, it's different, or adoption or whatever, but at the moment, simply respecting the data, early in January 2023 right there, we was looking at 3 years positive, which currently we're seeing. So obviously by the end of this year, if this prints a red negative statement for the end of the year for Bitcoin, then obviously the cycles are broken. But until that day comes, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 months left for Bitcoin to obviously print a positive return, and with that we would expect it to carry weight with XRP as well. But at this point, I do think if we're respecting the data, we should enter some kind of macro correction at some point this year, where next year is red, and we'll try and find the bottom again for XRP, okay, which we nailed for XRP on its last bottom basically. So let's dive into the charts right now. But the insights are pointing to a positive year for Bitcoin, which obviously is confluence of the fact of this last wave missing that I think we've got here for XRP. But until that day comes, obviously we've got 7 months of up, down, left, right, sideways ahead of us. So it's going to get a bit choppy. Nothing goes up forever, nothing goes down forever. We'll try and time the market as best we can, but like I said to you, this is why I'm holding on, because there's no bias. It's just simple data that I rely on. So what is the other characteristics of the top that I'm looking at that we've not seen it in this cycle? So I'll show you in the Bitcoin chart before I do dive into the XRP chart with yourselves, okay. So right towards the end of Bitcoin cycle, we do typically see something called an alt season, and the characteristics of alt season is really simple. It's Bitcoin coming down, making a lower high, and total 2, which is your altcoins, breaking out basically. So to get it into your charts, just go to the plus symbol at the top, type in total 2, and it's crypto total market cap excluding Bitcoin, so basically altcoins. So this blue line here represents altcoins, okay? So what happens is, if you take a look at this cycle top where Bitcoin was going parabolic to the upside, once it came down in this A wave and come back up in the B wave, which was retracement, we saw total 2, your blue line, break out to the upside. That was alt season, okay? So that was a 2017 top, came back down, rolled up into January of 2017, and altcoins were going absolutely ballistic just there. So again, if we go back to this time frame just there, you've got this correction in the chart just there. Bitcoin, I think it was around about April, came down in the A, came up in the B, same characteristics as this, A, B, then dropped like a stone. But at this point, in this B wave correction that came up, made a lower high, you saw total 2 breaking out to the upside. So that was a telltale sign, okay, the top's in at there and the top's in just there, and you rolled into this macro correction, then you've got this bullish impulse and bullish impulse. So in this bullish impulse that we've seen for Bitcoin, we've not necessarily seen the characteristics of the cycle top that we saw there and there. Whether or not it happens again, honestly, I've not got a crystal ball, I can't see into the future, I can't guarantee this is going to happen, but this is one of the key things at this point here, where a lot of people are calling for the top there and calling for the top there. I said to you, and equally the top there as well, I said to you, I just don't see the characteristics of the top that we've seen there and there, and this is one of the key, data points I'm looking for, as well as the 4-year cycle theory, that we may be about to see that this year. Okay, so really simple, if Bitcoin breaks out to the upside, goes through an A wave, makes a lower high B, and we're seeing the blue line break out, which is your cryptocurrency excluding Bitcoin, there's your characteristics of the cycle top. Equally, accompanying that is a waterfall in the Bitcoin dominance. So again, to get it into your charts, just go to plus symbol, BTC.D, drop it in. You can clearly see it. This time frame here, look at the waterfall that's happening in the Bitcoin dominance as alt season's occurring. So you've got the lower high B, total 2's breaking out, you got your waterfall in the dominance just there. Exactly the same here, you've got your lower high B for Bitcoin, total 2's breaking out, you got your waterfall in the dominance. In this entire cycle, we've not seen any kind of big waterfall in the dominance just yet, which is equally a telltale sign of the cycle top. So that's basically it. That's what I'm looking at. That's the data point that I'm relaying to you on a daily basis, that I don't necessarily think this cycle top's in just yet, because we've not seen the characteristics of it between the combination of Bitcoin dominance, total 2, and the Bitcoin price structure right there. But I think in time, if we see it, boom, that's your exit strategy as well. And they're one of the key ingredients I'm looking for in price structure to jump up and down and be excited about the top being in with yourselves. Let's dive into the XRP chart, see what we can see, okay? So looking at XRP on a daily time frame, at the moment I am tracking an inverse head and shoulders reversal pattern. You've got your left shoulder in this neckline just there. You came down, made the left shoulder, you come up into the same resistance, and boom, you drop like a stone, creating the head basically. So you've got your left shoulder here into the resistance, drop like a stone, creating a head, rallied into the same resistance, and right now you're pulling back to possibly create the symmetry of a right shoulder as well as a left shoulder. So if this will start to break down in some kind of double top drop, ABC zigzag or whatever, I think you could come as low as this before the next move to the upside. And what you're looking at is an impulsive wave 1 into a pullback wave 2 and then a vertical 3, 4, 5, 7 and so forth that takes us up to the 1.272 at $4.15. Now that currently is my primary, but obviously anything can happen. If we was to break down here for XRP, I think there's a neckline we are actually respecting, because we've got support there, and support there. Okay, so the invalidation of this inverse and shoulders pattern is really simple. It's $1.61. If we lose that, then I'm just going to put bids on this neckline, wherever it is. So if we start to see a significant breakdown here, something like this, then okay, I'm looking at this neckline for XRP, where I think that could complete the correction, because at that point we are seeing 5 waves from this high. We've got a 1 into a 2 into a 3 into a 4 into a final 5th wave down. I'm all in, and at that point I think we've got a bullish impulse. Now remember, there are 7 months left in this bull market, so that is a potential scenario right now. There's no bias on this channel, but I do think it will complete the correction if we do see that. Will we see it? I honestly don't know. I've not got a crystal ball. I can't see into the future, although there is an indicator I create for the CoinsKid crew called the crystal ball that shows us an enormous amount of wall of money. Liquidity is coming back into this market, and XRP is slowly but surely catching this liquidity up, isn't it? But if you take a look here towards the end of May into early June, there is some kind of zigzag pullback here. So it may be a case that we're going through this zigzag that creates the right shoulder like this, comes back and then breaks out in the remainder of June to catch up with liquidity taking off in space like that. But at the moment, if you take a look, liquidity is clearly in an uptrend. So until we start to see the breakdown at some point, for me, I'm just riding the trend. I think the trend is your friend until the end. I think we're in a whopping uptrend here for Bitcoin and equally XRP, and I think all of this is corrective price structure. So I'm a buyer, not a crier. I'm not selling XRP because, like I said to you earlier in the video, we've not seen the characteristics at the top. A lot of people say I'm too biased, but I'm looking for that structure between Bitcoin dominance, total 2, and obviously Bitcoin, in that lower high structure as well, which is pretty much, if we take a look at the previous cycle just there, for XRP, this is what we saw way back when. So if I zoom out on the weekly time frame, you'll be able to see it better. But going forward, if we can hold this head, we've got an inverse head and shoulders pattern, fantastic. We'll break out. We've got confidence of 1.272. But if it does break down and this starts to invalidate, I'm going to be a buyer in this neckline again once more, because look, we bought there, and again I'll just buy there, just keep accumulating, because this is basically corrective price structure that we're looking at after a huge impulsive move to the upside. So again, this is why I remain bullish on XRP. A lot of people say I'm too moonish or bullish, whatever, but we've not got the characteristics at the top that we got just there and just there for XRP. Now, what are the characteristics at the top? Obviously, I'll remind you, it's a total 2 breaking out to the upside where Bitcoin's making a lower high, and we've got the waterfall in the Bitcoin dominance. We've not seen it at this top. We didn't see it at that top when people were calling for the top last year as well. So basically on the weekly time frame, if you take a look, we've got this beautiful market symmetry at the moment anyway, and obviously I'm looking for deviation. So late 2017, we came out here, and then we came back into the mid-range on the weekly RSI. Then we broke for the last time in that cycle just there, where we create this bearish divergence between the two tops, higher highs, lower highs in the RSI, and then we rolled into that huge crash and correction. Okay, so if you take a look at this impulse as well, we did exactly the same. You've got your lower highs, bearish divergence between the two pivot points, then you rolled into this horrible crash and correction as well. But at this point, if you take a look on this eye here, when we coiled up for the next leg to the upside, we held the mid-range in the RSI. So we held this mid-range in the RSI, which is exactly what we're looking at right now for XRP. So again, the cycle top, which was printed just there and just there, you've got the bearish div where you came out twice in that cycle, you came in twice in that cycle, and we've only come out once so far. So again, the data and the structure in the charts is looking like we've got another leg to the upside where you come out, create your bear div, you're looking at a higher high for XRP, and at that point you may start to print the characteristics of cycle top where total 2 is breaking out, Bitcoin's making its lower high, and the waterfall and the Bitcoin dominance. So until that day comes, we've got 7 months to print that. So again, there's no bias, there's no mood-tardism, it's just simple data. That was your cycle top, that was your cycle top, XRP rolled over there, XRP rolled over there. So I do think if we start to see that the characteristics at the top, that's where XRP could roll over once more. So until that day comes, I'm just holding on for dear life here. Hope you understand that. Hope you enjoyed the update. Stay safe, stay tuned. Take care everyone. Back to an update on XRP. Bye bye.